please place yourselves on the outside of the row. If that is not practical, make sure they're held or easily within your reach. For your own safety, please remain seated while the train's in motion. Keep your head, arms, legs inside the cars at all times. No eating, drinking, or smoking except for bottled water while on the train. Thank you. Also, I want everybody to know that we have a very young person. This is his first train ride. He's 1.5 years old. I want to say hi to Benjamin. Hello, Benjamin. We'll say goodbye to Pat and Lou, station masters here at Firestone. We now begin our journey of 2.5 miles around the village with our next stop on the north side at Smith Creek. We will not be stopping at Susquehanna. That is closed for the time being. The White Farmhouse that we're approaching was the birthplace of Henry Ford. He was born here in July of 1863. The farm was located just outside of Detroit, comprised of 70 acres, and the family raised merino sheep. If you have a chance, you can stop by. The ladies in front will tell you all about the history of the farm and Henry growing up here as a young boy. Now, if you look to your left, just past the farmhouse, you can look down on our main street. Here you'll find the Wright Cycle Shop, Wright Home, Ford Motor Company, Mary Cohen's Millinery, and our 1913 Herschel's Building Carousel. The only carousel at that time that had a frog as one of its riding figures. We're now going to be going by the Miller Schoolhouse. During normal times, elementary groups are allowed to come here and conduct class for the village. We're now coming up to Menlo Park. This was Thomas Edison's laboratory in New Jersey. He's credited with over 1,000 patents in this facility. You can stroll the grounds, go into the machine shop, or over to the office. The main building itself is closed for renovations that are going on inside at this time. Now, if you look to your left across the street, the yellow building is the Sarah Jordan Boarding House. This is where all the single young men that worked for Edison would stay and live, and was one of the first few buildings to be electrified by Mr. Edison. Next to that is his Fort Myers, Florida laboratory. When we get too cold in New Jersey, he would go to Florida to continue his experiments. We're now coming up to the Equity Bridge. This is our gateway into our Porches and Parlors district. Here you'll find the Faust Home, Whittings, and Webster homes. You can also go to Eckley Pond and see Thomas Edison's great-grandparents' farmhouse from Vienna, Ontario, or down to Susquehanna Plantation, which comes from Tidewater, Maryland. Or you can stroll to the end of Maple Lane and visit the Windmill and Daggett Farmhouse. We're now coming up to our Cape Cod Windmill. This was built in 1649 to grind corn and wheat into flour. It is the last known original structure of its kind left in the United States. If you want to experience colonial life. Our Daggett farmhouse next to it predates the American Revolutionary War. It was built in 1754. You can stop by and the ladies will be happy to tell you what it was like to live back then. And you can also stroll in their vegetable garden to see what they are growing for food. The locomotive that's pulling us today is our Torch Lake. It was built in Taunton, Massachusetts in 1873 for the Calumet Hecla Mining Company of the Keweenaw Peninsula in northern Michigan. This engine was used to haul the copper ore from the mines down to the waiting ships. Right now what the engineer is doing is called a running blowdown. This was the easiest way of eliminating any sediment that might be forming in the steam lines. The Torch Lake also is on the national roster as the oldest continually scheduled steam locomotive now in the United States. We're now coming up to our nature reserve. This is 20 acres of pristine forest that have been allowed to grow untouched by human hands. Occasionally during the season, you might catch a glimpse of our red fox. We have coyote, deer, and turkeys that also roam the woods. Now as we come into the reserve, this will give you an idea of what it was like to travel across the United States in the early days of the railroad. Before that time, our major means of transportation were stagecoach, wagon, horseback, or even walking. With the railroad, the distance spent traveling, time-wise, was dramatically reduced. To travel by stagecoach between Detroit and Chicago could take over 3 days. By train, a little bit more than 7 hours. Now if you look to your right down through the trees, you will see a portion of the original Rouge River. This section was not channelized by the Army Corps of Engineers, but was allowed to stay in this pristine condition, similar to what it would have looked like almost 200 years ago. The river itself has been reconnected to the main channel. The water is clean enough to support fish and wildlife. It just looks a little dirty because the Rouge is a very silty river. It is carrying a lot of sediment from upstream down to the Detroit River. We're now entering into Walnut Grove. This is our activities field during the season. And from here you can see the backsides of Cotswold Cottage, the Giddings, Webster, and Frost homes. We're now approaching our Henry Ford Academy. To attend, you must be a resident of Wayne County. It is done on the lottery system, so if your name is drawn, you are allowed to attend here grades 9 through 12 for free. Ninth grade starts at our academy next to the museum. The main building here is for grades 10 and 11. And as we will slowly go around the turn, you'll find 3 railroad cars that have been combined into 3 classrooms. This is where our seniors finish out their final year. I don't know of too many seniors that can brag that they graduated from the railroad. And also, did everybody notice we have a turkey sitting on the other side of the walkway? We're now going by our Suwannee Lagoon. This is only used now for flood control here in the village. But during the summertime, the months of June and July, our summer camp groups are allowed to take the canoes and paddle around the island.
That's the train to Chicago that goes there. The little, Amtrak. Oh, nice, yeah. That'd be cool, and they have a stop right over there.
Now, as you climb the hill towards Smith Creek, if you look to your left just past the stone building, you will find the Martha Mary Chapel. This was built by Mr. Ford to honor his mother and mother-in-law. Next to that is our Taste of History, offering a wide variety of food, served cafeteria style. This is the only facility that is open in the village that will serve hot food until 3:30 this afternoon. Next to that would be our Eagle Tavern, which was a stagecoach stop between Detroit and Chicago. However, that is not open at this time. Now, as you come into Smith Creek, this could be your exit point to go to Main Street to visit the carousel, or up towards the chapel to the Taste of History if you need anything to eat or drink. Down Junction, you can walk the front of the Roundhouse or to Liberty Craft Works to watch our artisans hard at work. As we come in, we can say hi to Ginger and Sue, station masters here, and I ask everybody to please remain seated until we come to a complete stop. Once the whistle sounds, it will be safe to exit on the left-hand side. Also, if you are exiting here, please leave the chain down so we know which rows need to be cleaned. And it is required that the face mask be put back on.